Right.
Fuck's sake, man.
Right, go. Oh.
Let's get into the intro. Hello there, and welcome to the BSL Sports Podcast. From the fans, for the fans. Today, I'm joined by our guest writer, Liam Murphy. Welcome, Liam. I'm also joined by yesterday's guest, Patrick Leonard, and writer, Kieran Auld. Welcome, boys.
Yeah, right.
You right, boys? It's good to be back.
How's our days been?
No bad, just
man.
the usual.
Not bad, same old.
Aye, same old.
It's COVID. Rubbish. So, we're going to start on the topic of a big game at the weekend for you two boys. Kieran and Patrick, Celtic v Aberdeen. Wasn't the result you were hoping for, was it?
Not
Nah,
at all.
It certainly was not. I mean, that was the perfect chance for it to get turned around. After getting beat half Rangers and then against AC Milan, perfect opportunity for Leonard to just turn around, get a good result, lay down a marker and say, right, this is us going to push on now. But obviously, wasn't it to be, but hopefully we can crack on against Lille and also get a decent result in the semi-final.
Two big games ahead. Obviously, as you said, the second half against AC Milan, thought that was, as some pundits said, the best Celtic have played all season. They were next level and they dominated a Milan side who dominated Inter Milan, who are challenging for the Champions League, if not the Serie A this season. So, to put that in perspective, Celtic, slow start. Lennon is under the cosh at the moment, and things do need to change. Big game this weekend, yet again against Aberdeen. So, as a question of that, did you see the Lennon interview after the game?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where the guy's coming from. I mean, it's no nice to be under pressure in your job up here, especially in Scotland, with the media and happy all the time. But I mean, for him to come out and say that it's not even Celtic fans pushing the narrative of like getting him the sack. I mean, I'm not saying I support it, but I'm just saying there is definitely an element within the Celtic support that they want him out, and it's been evident all season. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. So
yeah,
for him to come out and try and deny that, it's just. It's no the real world he's living in with that.
I think it's a shame for him because obviously he's likely one of the only men for the job to get us the 10. Like if we bring an English guy in, they don't know what they're in for. It's such a big season, and I feel bad for Neil Lennon, but I just hope he can turn things around.
He is stuck in a rut at the moment with all the COVID problems and that. As I said, he came out and he was blatantly honest. He said, I don't know why I'm getting polls made about me from the media, because it's not Celtic who are making the polls about me being sacked. It's the media, Scottish media. And he did go on to speak about the fact that he wasn't, as I said, he's been stuck. He's not got a lot of options defensively. Main man Julian, he's out. You've got El Hammond out, having to play Duffy, who has been found out to have an abscess in his mouth. He had 2 teeth. Well, this is what I'm hearing. He had my mum's from Derry. I've got cousins and stuff from Derry who are friends with Duffy and his family. Apparently, he's got an abscess and 2 teeth knocked out as well. So he shouldn't be playing. But what other options have you got to cover him?
I mean, the man's been put in a tough spot. I mean, you can't deny that. With all the players that have been out with positive COVID tests, he's certainly not been left in the easiest situation for a Celtic manager in any season, never mind gone for the 10. I mean, it's certainly not an easy situation, but he's putting the team out there. I understand it's up to them at the end of the day, but they've got to be playing for him, and it's sometimes you question if they are. And I feel like a lot of Celtic fans are thinking that way.
Yeah. There's a variety of options for him, obviously. You can see he is making improvements. Celtic fans are asking for this. He's given them that, such as formation changes, such as players in and out. You've seen Scott Brown didn't start at the weekend. So he is trying his best.
I think we'll be seeing that a lot with Scott Brown just because he's getting on. I feel this might be his last season before maybe he goes somewhere like America or something. I also think the change of formation, I think he's just got to play forward at the back. Like, there's no need for having three centre-backs because it's just taking away a man going forward. So
yeah, I do agree with that. But with the 3-5-2 though, I mean, Celtic fans were calling out for it. I mean, I'm going to admit I was one of them that was calling out for it purely because of how good that it worked after the winter break, just Bern last season. We came back and we were playing immaculately. Every game it was absolute brilliant attacking football, but as you can't play a 3-5-2 if you've not got two completely fit strikers at the top of their game. That's the only way it's going to work. You need that. You need the 1-2s. You need to play between the two strikers linked up. And currently Celtic don't possess the strikers that are fit or at the top of their game to actually be doing that.
Yeah, you can see you're really missing Julian, you're really missing Edward. There's a core from your team it's missing, and the confidence. What I was very impressed with was the comeback, but the confidence has been run right out of his defensively. So that is something to look at and improve on. As you said, Paddy, this weekend against Aberdeen, that's going to be a massive game, isn't it?
I feel so, mate. I think his job's on the line, and it's a massive game, a quadruple treble. That's at stake. That'd be massive for the club. That give us confidence going in after the winter and just getting wins and try to be consistent. So, massive game.
Yeah. I completely agree with that as well, Paddy, because if you get the trophy under your belt, I mean, it might just try and it'll put to rest some of the worries that people have been having this season. If we can crack on, get a trophy. I know it's for last season and that, but it's just something, it's maybe a mental boost to get something like that in a season like this. It's just to help you drive on, because, I mean, I'm not going to lie, Lennon's job, like, it is under threat, I think, but if he gets sacked, who comes in? That is the genuine question. Who's going to come in that's going to instantly improve Celtic? Who's going to want to come to Celtic, like, looking at us? But it's not feasible to sack him now. It's just, I think it could do more harm than good at this current moment.
I think you're right.
It's a hard decision because he said you've got problems with all the coronavirus and stuff. You've not had a run of form. Once you've had a run of form, as we've seen previous seasons, Rangers could possibly halt their run of form and everything could go in Celtic's favour. As we said, Rangers 2-0 victory against Livingston at the weekend. Don't think you were very happy with that, but you need to give them credit where it's due. Consistency is key, and Rangers have been all for it this season.
I know you can't fault them. You cannot. On you go, Paddy.
Cheers, mate. I think they look good. They look dangerous. You see, James Tavernier's been playing quite well. Joe Aribo, and they look a totally different team from last season. They've got all the confidence, and Gerrard's doing wonders with them.
Ryan Kent looks a new man, doesn't he? You've seen, obviously, Defoe's goal at the weekend. What a goal.
Unreal.
It's unreal how, coming from James Tavernier, first of all, I don't even know how he sees that pass. Right over the top, into the back, and Defoe look over his shoulder and passes it into the net from a 40-yard over the top ball. It's remarkable. And I think that
goal,
even though Griffiths did score at the weekend, I think that goal has put Ryan's choice in. Obviously, we had Ryan Monette on earlier in the first episode. Go and check that out. I think that does put his decision in jeopardy because Defoe has shown time and time again that he is a world-class striker. Even when he does get older, people have doubted him. He's not been as influential this season, and he goes and does that.
I think Griffiths is more a... Sorry, Kieran. I think Griffiths is more a big game player. Like, if Defoe's got to be up there in the debate, he's got to start scoring in the big games more. You seen Griffiths done it against England for Scotland. You saw him score there against Aberdeen. That was a great goal. But I think Defoe, he's still a good striker at age he is. But I think he's just got to their strikers have got to turn up in the big games. Morelos as well.
Aye.
See, that's the thing. They don't need to turn up, but I mean, they've got the positives, say, being able to get goals for other parts of the pitch, which is always important. And it's been important for Celtic as well in the past few seasons, because in seasons where our goal scorers have came from across the park, we've done brilliantly, because you need that in your team. You can't just be relying on like the one man the way we used to with Griffiths like a good few years ago. If you start to bring in your number 10s and they're banging about 10 goals a season, that's exactly what you need, especially when you're going for the title.
Yeah, as we touched on earlier, consistency will definitely be key after January. You can have as good a start to the season as you want, but we've seen it time and time again with Rangers having a brilliant start to the season. Take you back to was it the season before Rangers did go into administration?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a 15-point gap. Do you remember that? And Celtic still managed to come away with the title. So at this stage of the season, there's a lot of pressure on Lennon, but anything can happen. And I'm pretty sure Lennon was the manager that season, wasn't he?
Aye.
So
he's done it all before.
He's done it all before. So
it's not over.
The question is, Gerrard has experience of doing it on the park. Well, he's not really won the league, has he, Liam? But he's got the experience of success. He knows how to do it. You can see Rangers are 10 times fitter than Celtic this season. Something Celtic are going to need to improve on. But I really do believe Gerrard is going to cause Celtic problems this season. He will learn from the Dubai trip last year, and Lennon really needs to up his game if he's going to come up to Rangers level, because Rangers really do look threatening. We spoke about the Defoe's goal. Kemar Roof's goal. That
even better. You think that's got to win the Puskás award? Aye.
It's not even the fact that he scores from his own half. It's the fact that he holds off 3 players and skins 3 players, and then he has the audacity to pull that off over the keeper.
He could easily just held it up and brought players in, but he just saw the keeper off his line and went, "I'm going for this."
Yeah. But yet again, another dominant result from Rangers in Europe. It shows you Rangers have come on leaps and bounds, and you can see pre-season has been vital for them. Rangers are going to cause problems this season for Celtic. Obviously, the question is whether they can keep it going from January. It's going to be the main point of this season. And for Rangers fans, I do hope Gerrard does learn from last season. And if he does, Celtic are in with a real shock, because if Celtic don't pick up the form and learn from the start to the season, I don't see any chance of 10 in a row happening.
I may be wrong here with the Rangers, but the way Gerrard's style as a manager does seem very similar to... I may be wrong here, but it looks very similar to Jurgen Klopp in a way, because if you look at the likes of Barisic and Tavernier, the way they bomb on forward and the way they get the crosses into the box, and obviously Barisic and Tavernier can have a shot on them as well. It's very to the way Liverpool play with Roberts and Trent. I wonder if he's maybe taking tips from Klopp, because it does seem that with the way that the bombing fullbacks play, almost like other secondary wingers. And
it's even, see the way he had Tavernier playing that ball over to Defoe, very similar to the way Trent plays. Well, definitely. You have Salah, Mane darting in. That was the same with Kent and Aribo. Obviously, Defoe was in behind as well. And all it takes is a ball over in a fast-paced sprint. And it was very, very similar. That's a very good point, Liam. If you do think about Liverpool, it could definitely be what has happened. As well, Celtic don't have the attacking threat that Rangers do from the wing-backs. And we actually seen Laxalt having a brilliant... He was man of the match for Celtic against AC Milan. Would you say so?
He did put in a good shift, I would say that. But I mean, especially coming up against his parent club. I mean, maybe he's got the advantage of playing these players in the training ground, that he just knows wee things about them that obviously his teammates at Celtic won't. But I mean, he put in a good performance, but some of the balls coming in for out wide are shocking now. Celtic really need to put a lot of effort into working on the crosses, because if you're wanting to go down the wings that often, then you need to have a good end product, because some of the balls are just gone way past where it needs to go, and it's just wasting possession and wasting good chances. But hopefully that's something we can improve on as the season goes on.
So moving on, we're going to be talking about the Premier League, as you'll be happy to hear, Liam.
Yep.
What happened at the weekend? Liverpool against Sheffield United, a very interesting tie. A few controversial decisions in there.
Yeah, once again, VAR being the main talking point of the game. I mean, Liverpool's performance was probably summed up as okay. I mean, right now it's all about getting the wins with Liverpool. I mean, it's clear to see that we aren't playing, obviously, the best football at the moment. It's probably due to maybe just a slight loss of confidence to the loss of Van Dijk. I don't want to keep going back to it, but maybe that is probably the issue. But Liverpool, they're still getting the wins. I mean, at the end of the day, we did deserve to win the game. I mean, Sheffield United, once it went to 1-1, I mean, you could tell that this game was only going to go one way. And
yeah,
the scoreline didn't really reflect the performance from Liverpool. I mean, I feel like they could have ended up scoring about 4 or 5 that game. I mean, they were absolutely all over Sheffield United, apart from maybe the first 30 minutes. I mean, when they went 1-0 up, Sheffield United, they had a good few chances to go 2-0 up, really. And you have to be thankful that they didn't take those chances. I mean, the return of Alisson is huge for Liverpool in that game as well. I mean,
a couple of really good saves in that game as well to keep you in it.
I mean, he is a class goalkeeper. I mean, I'm not putting any disrespect on Adrian, but he doesn't even come close to Alisson, and to have him back in can be a massive boost for the squad.
You can see the defence is not as confident. Obviously, I think most people have seen the clip of Gomez where Adrian comes out for it, and there's a lack of communication, and Gomez starts moaning him. That wouldn't happen with Alisson because you know there's either going to be a scream from Alisson, who's a very dominant goalkeeper, or there'll be a scream for Gomez. So you can see there's a lack of communication there, which didn't really help. Maybe contributed to the 7-2 defeat of Aston Villa.
Yeah, definitely. But the main thing for Liverpool in that game was obviously there was a formation change in that game. We moved to the 4-2-3-1, and it did work in the end for Liverpool. I mean, it can be seen as a very attacking formation, but the way we set up, I mean, it was perfect. I mean, you may think like, okay, we played Jota, Mane, Salah, and Firmino, and you feel like, okay, maybe Firmino behind, Salah up front, and Jota, etc., etc. But the way Liverpool played, they just rotated all the time. I mean, you sometimes see Jota striker, you sometimes see Mane or Salah up front. I mean, it's the way they rotate. I mean, it's so crucial because when it comes to the front line with Liverpool at that point, it's just so unpredictable because you can't really predict who's going to be in what position. So, like, when Jota scored I've got a talking point of Jota as well. I mean, Jota right now is looking like...
Yeah, we're going to get into that. Jota's on fire right now, and I didn't really expect it because I thought he was going to be a second fiddle player, but Klopp has brought him on even more than he was at Wolves, which is very unexpected, surprisingly.
Yeah, Jota's given Liverpool a massive selection headache right now. I mean, you could easily see Jota start ahead of probably maybe even Firmino right now. I mean, he is on a really good run of form, and I mean, it's a bit to now, but he is a fantastic player for us right now. I mean, it's class now that we've actually got attacking depth because we haven't had depth in the forward line probably since Coutinho left, and now that we've got Jota to come off the bench and not maybe someone like Origi, it does maybe instill confidence in the team as well, knowing that a potentially world-class player is going to be coming off the bench.
Talking of Origi, do you think his time's up at Liverpool?
I think so. I mean, he's probably like 6th or something in the pecking order now. I mean, you've got the likes of Minamino ahead of him as well. Probably Shaqiri's ahead of him in the front in the pecking.
Shaqiri shocked me as well. It seems as if him and Klopp have made up, and he's back in with a shout at Liverpool. He was playing last night, and I thought he was one of the star men for Liverpool.
Absolutely. I mean, Shaqiri was always brought in to be a rotational player. I mean, he was left out the squad completely for a good few months last season. But I always feel like when he plays, he always puts in a shift. I always feel like he is a decent player to have off the bench, but he's never ever going to be a starter for Liverpool. He's always going to be backup if you really need it. But I still think a player like that is needed. Even at Liverpool as well, you need that player who can just come off the bench and have a quick spark involved. I mean, that's what Origi was. But I feel like whenever I watch Origi play football, and half the time he looks like he can't be bothered. And I don't never see...
Yeah, he just flops about the park. He's not got the same pace as he used to have, even in France. And then when he was vital against Barcelona and Tottenham in the Champions League. But he had a couple of good Premier League games, and then after that, he was really back to normal, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Origi's never been a good footballer. He always will be known as like a clutch player, if you know what I mean. He just like the way he gets those crucial goals. Those crucial goals, like the ones against Barcelona, probably got him the new contract in the first place.
Yeah, that's 100%.
And his time's coming to an end. I mean, he never was going to knock on the door of any of the front three. I mean, he was only brought in to probably save money for Liverpool last year because we probably struggled financially, it seemed, last year because we never brought anyone in last year. But it's hard to say because we were the Champions League winners last year. But that probably was the reason why he was given a new contract. But yeah, his time, he'll probably either leave in January or most likely the summer.
Yeah. There was a lot of VAR controversy, obviously, in the Liverpool game, but other games especially. There was Man City v West Ham, finished 1 each. Did you see that penalty claim by Man City? What did you think of that?
First of all, I just want to talk about that Antonio goal. I mean, that goal is just unbelievable. Antonio, he's some player he is. I mean, but that penalty decision, I mean, it's a stonewall penalty. He does. I wouldn't say he swipes him out, but he is making a lunge there, and you have to think, if that's not going to VAR, then why are like some minimal challenges going to VAR and getting penalties for it? I just feel like, how's that not a penalty, but other decisions are penalties, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. What did you make of it, boys? Patrick, Kieran?
Well, I mean, mergers generally, I think a lot of people are just angry at the general inconsistency of VAR. I mean, for it to have been in place now for as long, and for there still to have no worked out the kinks in it, like it should be run a lot smoother than what it is. And the fact that it's still getting brought up weekly as a controversy it's far from a good sign. But I mean, it's getting the right decisions most of the time, but sometimes it's just leaving a lot of fans really pissed off.
Yeah, even the league players are starting to get pissed off with it now, and it's not consistent. It's very similar to Celtic at the moment. Do you not think? What do you think, Paddy, with VAR?
I'm not a fan of it. I don't know. It is inconsistent, and I've been seeing, it's quite funny, being thrown about on Twitter, the Premier League getting called the Barclays Premier League, and it just seems that VAR's getting...
man. Did you see that?
Getting used in every game.
Liverpool were getting that.
It's getting used in every game, and it's just that West Ham one I thought was a stonewaller. So,
what about the Man United v Chelsea game? That was a bit of a blowfest, wasn't it? I was excited for that game as well. Two teams that have brought in supreme players from all over Europe, and nothing really was brought of it, was it?
Nothing at all. I mean, I was sitting there in my chair and I was literally about to fall asleep. I could just feel my eyes going like dead heavy. I mean, the game was unbelievably dull. I mean, it's a dull game when one thing you're talking about is a quote unquote controversial penalty claim. I mean, it is controversial, but like if that's the only talking point of the game, then it's a right board fest. I mean, but that penalty claim is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, that is a wrestling move if I've ever seen one. The way Harry Maguire literally locked.
He's literally got him in a... Paddy, we were obviously talking about UFC last night. Mm-hmm. He's literally got him in a chokehold. He's generally
headlock,
get his arms around him like that. And it's, honest to God, you look at that and you think, are some of these fixed scripted? Because it's blatant and obvious decisions that they're missing out on. Mm-hmm. And it's whether... Is that a decision of we don't want VAR, or is it a decision of there is fixing the game? Because some of these decisions are madness. It does bring the questions to your head, because what else could it be? Surely the people at the top refereeing aren't that stupid, are they?
Wouldn't surprise me, mate. It honestly would not surprise me if they were that stupid.
Couple of interesting Champions League results this week, Liam.
Talk
us through it.
Last night, when this comes out, it'll be Tuesday. When on Tuesday night you had the Liverpool game. Liverpool getting the job done. Obviously, I mean, Trent Alexander-Arnold on Tuesday night was really, really key for Liverpool. I mean, his range of passing sometimes can just be unreal. I mean, for the assist as well, the way he played into Shaqiri played it back to him, and then John a virtual open goal. That goal was just
lovely. It was a lovely walk goal, wasn't it? It was Barcelona-esque from the 2010s. Very similar.
It was class. I mean, Liverpool were always going to get the win, but the way they played can be improved upon. I mean, you also had the City win. I mean, it was kind of plain sailing for City. I mean, you expect that from City. I mean, even against the likes of Marseille, I mean, they're always going to rip these teams apart. I mean, some of the players they've got on these European nights are just perfect. I mean, even the new man like Ferran Torres, he is a really good player, and you've got obviously the likes of Raheem Sterling. All these players they're built for these kind of games. They're just the way Man City can just toy with them.
Yeah, Marseille. I didn't get the chance to watch the game, but I watched the highlights, and there was one Marseille chance, and it wasn't even a chance. It was just plain sailing, as you said, from Man City. Dominant again. Pep Guardiola's under a lot of pressure this season. I think there's a lot of pressure for him to be successful in the Champions League, because he's had that with every other club, hasn't he? And he's not had it with Man City yet. He's been given all the money that he needs to spend on the squad that he wants, and he's been very lacklustre. I think he reached the semi-final twice, is it? And he does need to succeed on that. What about the other games? Manchester United tonight.
I think the most like you said, the biggest highlight is the Man U one. I mean, RB Leipzig are a great team, and 5-0 against RB Leipzig is very impressive. I mean, the man, the myth, the legend, I can say now, although he plays for Man U, I don't mind calling him it, Marcus Rashford, with the hat trick. I mean, he
didn't even start. He didn't even start. Never mind. And he got a hat trick against Red Bull Leipzig, who are last season's semi-finalists. They were looking very strong. They've still got Upamecano. They've still got a real core of the team. I think they only did lose Werner, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to score 3 coming on as a sub, and what minute did they come on? Was it second half?
63rd minute.
It just shows you Rashford. Yeah. He's doing great for the country, and he's doing great for Man United. Talking about Man United strikers, Martial, he really needs to pick it up, because I'm not seeing it at the moment. I seen a stat the other day. Harry Maguire's got more goals in the Premier League than Martial this season. Shows you is he scored now?
He scored tonight. Actually, he scored the penalty that Man United.
Penalty.
It's a penalty, but like it's a 50-50 chance, really.
He won't be under the greatest amount of confidence right now after he got sent off. I mean, it's still up in the air whether that was a controversial decision or not, but that's a different topic. But he's probably lacking confidence in a sense. But yeah, he does need to pick up his form a little bit, probably.
Yeah. So, boys, have you got your game of the week for this weekend sorted? Who are we going for and why? Liam, we've just finished with you, so we'll start with you. What's your game of the week for this weekend?
Well, I didn't want to go biased, so I went with the Man United Arsenal game. Battle of the inconsistencies, I'd probably like to call it. I mean, both teams on their day they could be fantastic teams. I mean, the likes of Man U, if the likes of Rashford, Martial, I mean, these are fantastic players. Even the likes of Arsenal, you've got like Aubameyang, Saka, who, if you watch him, he's actually a fantastic player. So it will be an interesting game. I mean, both teams are obviously fighting for the same thing, you'd probably say. They're probably both fighting for the top 4 spot. And it will be an interesting tie. I mean, if I was to swing one way, I probably would go Man U, because Arsenal's record in these kind of games have always been poor. But both teams, it could be a goal fest. I mean, because both teams' defences can just disappear when it comes to these kind of games. So I'd probably go with like a 3-2 Man United.
3-2 Man United, you're going for that game?
Yeah.
Patrick, what's your game of the week for this weekend and why?
You know what mine's going to be?
Let me take a guess. Begins with the green and white and ends with the hoops.
It's that, mate. The Scottish Cup semi-final between Celtic and Aberdeen. Oh, sorry. That's the other game. Celtic and Aberdeen.
And Hearts. You're 2 years late.
Celtic and Aberdeen is such a big game for Celtic. A chance to make history and get that quadruple treble. I know it's like the cup being played from last season, but it would still spur us on for this season from what we've not been playing too
massive
well.
confidence. Reaching a final would be a massive confidence
I
boost, I feel.
still think it would be a great game, like you saw last weekend. Celtic and Aberdeen was 3 each. I think sort of teams have found us out, found holes in our defence and the way we play, and I think it's going to bring the best out of us because of how competitive it's going to be, and sorry, just how big the game is.
Yeah.
I know the importance of that game can be stressed enough. But on you go.
What's your prediction for that game?
I see us, Celtic, edging it, possibly with a 2-1 win. I'll take that.
Interesting. That would be good enough for you, wouldn't it? And it would keep Lennon in the hot seat for now.
Exactly.
Kieran, we'll finish off for me, but we'll finish off for the guests with you. What's your take on this week's game of the week, and what's your reason behind it?
I think this, I don't know if it's just me being a biased point of view here, but I think it's going to need to be Kilmarnock Rangers, because the amount of tough games that we've seen at Rugby Park for both sides of the Old Firm, I mean, you can't get away with it. Rugby Park's a hard place to go. Like, I mean, especially under Steve Clark, but even then, like, Kilmarnock know how to play.
As well.
Exactly. They know exactly how to play in that. They know how to frustrate teams. They know what their game plan is against the big two. And they do it so well, and it infuriates me because I've been to Rugby Park so many times and seen so many bad performances. And it's not even that you just can't play football on an AstroTurf park. Like, it just doesn't happen, especially with the wee narrow parks as well. But I mean, Rangers and Celtic have struggled there in the past. I mean, you're counting on, Celtic fans are counting on Rangers sitting up this weekend, and hopefully Dean has a bit more chance to close the gap again. But I mean, you can't stress the importance of this weekend enough as well, because Rangers will see it as a massive opportunity, because if they can go out and get a good performance in at Rugby Park and even lay down another marker and say we're no splitting up, then that is a big statement to be making. But yeah, I don't know, I can see a one each draw coming in that game, and see Celtic a wee way back in.
Similar to the Livingston Rangers game then, you feel it's just going to be a stalemate?
It's going to be a frustrating afternoon, I think, for Rangers. Well, hopefully, but we'll see.
And another thing as well, Rangers have not got the best record against Kilmarnock. I know Celtic haven't, but Rangers have got a worse record at Rugby Park. Don't remember the last time they won at Rugby Park. I think it was that last minute winner that there was a wee mini pitch invasion that Rangers are famous for. They've done it at Firhill as well.
I mean, I'm going to stay silent on that one because I've attended a game at Rugby Park in which there was a small pitch invasion when Scott Brown won the league. But I mean, I'm just going to keep it clamped on that one. But
Scott Brown won the league at Rugby Park. What a song, eh? For my game of the weekend, I'm going to go with the Edinburgh Derby, Hibernian v Hibs v Hearts. We'll keep it simple. Hibs v Hearts. It's going to be a massive tie for both teams. Obviously, Hearts getting relegated. They're looking for bragging rights in that derby. Even though they did win last season, they're not going to be playing each other this season. So this will be this season's bragging rights for Edinburgh. Hearts have come into a good run of form, hammering Dundee 6-2. But it shows you if they're up against a good defence. Arbroath sat back on Friday night, and if not for a Craig Whiting goal, it would have been another stalemate. So it's going to be a hard one for Hearts. With the signing of Halliday, they're looking much, much better. But they have got squad depth. I don't think they've got the quality to beat Hibs. Hibs are flying this season. So on that behalf, I'm really going to go with a 3-1 Hibs victory. Purely down to the fact that Hibs are flying this season. They look challenging to Aberdeen. Obviously, yeah. So that's all for this week. I hope you enjoyed that, and a big massive thank you to our guests, Liam, Patrick and Kieran. Thank you, boys. Please go and check out our previous videos and our website, bslsports.co.uk. Thank you very much to Nielsen Beats for providing the music for this video. go and check out his Instagram. The link is in the description. And until then, it's a goodbye from me.
See you after.
Catch you,
Yeah.